It's Nurfaida Asarakili. In this video, I am going to explain the various literary elements of children and adolescent literature. First, we have the plot. Plot is the sequence of the events that make up the story. It includes the exposition, rising action, climax, falling intonation, and resolution. Next is the setting. Setting refers to the time, place, and cultural context in which the story takes place. Characters. Characters are the people or animals that populate the story. They can be protagonist, antagonist, or supporting characters. Theme. Theme is the central message or idea that the story conveys. It can be overt or subtitle, and it often relates to a universal human experience or emotion. Point of view. Point of view refers to the perspective from which the story is told. It can be first person, third person limited, or third person omniscient. The choice of point of view can impact the reader's understanding of the story and their emotion connection to the characters. Tone. Tone refers to the author's attitude towards the subject matter. It can be serious, humorous, or somewhere in between, and it helps to set the overall mood in the story. Symbolism. It refers to the use of objects, images, or idea that represent something else. It can add depth and meaning to the story, and it can help to convey abstract concept into a concrete way. Imagery. It refers to the use of sensory details to create a vivid picture in the reader's mind. Figurative language. Figurative language includes devices such as simile, metaphor, and personification. It helps to create a more vivid and engaging reading experiences by using comparisons and other rhetorical devices. Lastly is the style. Style refers to the author's unique voice and way of writing. It includes elements such as sentence structure, word choice, and pacing, and it helps to create a distinctive reading experience. Next, I am going to explain the various verbal elements of children and adolescent literature. These elements include dialogue. Dialogue is the exchange of spoken words between characters in a story. It can reveal character traits, advance the plot, and provide information about the story settings. Diction. Diction is the author's choice of words. It can impact the tone of the story and help to create the story's atmosphere and mood. Syntax. Syntax refers to the arrangement of words and phrases to create well-formed sentences. It can impact the pacing of the story and the reader's emotional response. Repetition. Repetition is the use of words, phrases, or ideas multiple times in a story. Next is allusion. Allusion is the reference to a well-known person, place, or event in story, literature, or popular culture. It can add depth or meaning to the story and create connection with the reader. Foreshadowing. It is the use of clues or hints to suggest the future events in the story. It can create tension and anticipation for the reader. Irony. It is the use of language to convey a meaning that is the opposite of its literal meaning. Next, we have the imagery. Imagery refers to the use of sensory details to create a vivid picture in the reader's mind. It helps to bring the story to life and can create a more immersive reading experience. Figurative language. It includes devices such as simile, metaphor, and personification. It can help to create a more vivid and engaging reading experiences by using comparison and other rhetorical devices. Rhetorical questions are questions that are asked for effect and do not require an answer. They can create a sense of anticipation and engage the reader in the story. These verbal elements are important tools that authors use to convey their story effectively and engage the reader. Next, I am going to explain the various visual elements of children and adolescent literature. These elements include illustrations. Illustrations are images that accompany the text of a book. They can provide visual text, context for the story, and help to engage younger readers. Layout. The layout of a book refers to the way the text and images are arranged on the page. It can impact the pacing of the story and create visual interest for the readers. Typography refers to the style and design of the text. It can impact the readability of the book and create visual interest for the readers. Color. Color can be used in illustrations and typography to create a specific mood or tone for the story. Symbolism. Symbolism refers to the use of images or objects to represent the abstract ideas or concepts. It can add depth and meaning to the story and create connection with the readers. Visual metaphors. Visual metaphors are images that represent abstract ideas or concepts. They can help to convey complex ideas in a simple and accessible way for young readers. Visual pacing. Pacing refers to the way images are arranged on the page to create a sense of movement or progression in the story. Perspective. It refers to the way images are presented in relation to the story. Different perspectives can create different moods and tones for the story. Next, art style. It refers to the way images are drawn or painted. These visual elements are important tools that authors use to engage young readers and convey their story effectively through visual means. They help to create a more immersive reading experiences and can make the story more accessible and engaging for young readers. The following are the types of characters. First is the protagonist. The protagonist is the central character of the story. They are usually the character who undergoes the most significant changes throughout the story, and whose actions and decisions drive plot forward. Antagonist. The antagonist is the character who opposes the protagonist and creates conflict within the story. Supporting characters. Supporting characters are the secondary characters who help to move the plot forward and provide context for the story. Then we have the foil. A foil is a character who is used to highlight the characteristics of another character. They may have contrasting traits or beliefs to the protagonist, and their differences can help to emphasize the protagonist's strengths and weaknesses. Stock character. A stock character is a character who is stereotypical or predictable. They may have traits that are commonly associated with their role, such as the absent-minded professor or the damsel in distress. Round character. A round character is a character who has a complex personality and is portrayed with depth and details. Flat character. A flat character is a character who is not fully developed and is portrayed with limited detail. They may have only one or two defining traits, and their purpose in the story is usually to provide context or support for the other characters. Dynamic character. A dynamic character is the character who undergoes significant changes throughout the story. Lastly is the static character. A static character is a character who remains unchanged throughout the story. They may provide consistency or stability to plot, but they do not undergo significant changes or development. The following are the characteristics of setting. First is the time period. Time period of a story can be historical or contemporary, and it can be a significant impact on the plot and characters. Climate and weather. The climate and weather of a story can create a specific atmosphere and affect the actions of the characters. For example, a story set during a stormy night can create a sense of tension or danger. Next is the social and cultural context. The social and cultural context of a story can provide important context for the plot and characters. Symbolic elements. The setting can also include symbolic elements that represent larger themes or ideas. Atmosphere and mood. The setting can create a particular atmosphere and mood that helps to convey the tone of the story. This can include a sense of mystery, danger, or even humor. The following are the three elements of plot. This includes the chronological order. This refers to the order in which events occur in the story. The events are typically arranged in a linear fashion, with each event leading to the next. Moreover, chronological order is important because it allows the audience to understand the story's timeline in the sequence of events. Conflict. It is the central tension in the story that creates the plot. It can be internal or external. Conflict is what drives the story forward and creates tension and interest for the audience. Lastly is the pattern of action. This refers to the plot structure, which is the series of events that unfold over the courses of the story. The pattern of action typically involves an introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and the resolutions. Next, I am going to discuss the types of point of view. This includes the first person point of view. In first person point of view, the story is told from the perspective of a character who is involved in the events of the story. Point of view uses the pronouns I, me, and my. Next is the objective point of view. In objective point of view, the story is told without any access to the thoughts or feelings of the characters. Next is the omniscient point of view. In omniscient point of view, the story is told by all-knowing narrator who has access to thoughts and feelings of all characters. This point of view allows the reader to see the world from multiple perspectives and understand the motivations and designs of all the characters. Next, I am going to discuss the various devices of style. This includes connotation. It refers to the emotional or cultural associations that words carry beyond their literal meanings. For example, the word home. Imagery. Imagery refers to the use of vivid and descriptive language to create mental images in the reader's mind. Writers often use sensory details such as the sight, sound, taste, touch, and the smell to create a more immersive experience for the reader. Figurative language. Figurative language refers to any use of language that goes beyond its literal meaning, including the metaphors, similes, personifications, and hyperbole. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is a type of figurative language that uses exaggerated for effect. For example, saying, "I've been waiting for an eternity," is a hyperbolic way of expressing impatience. Understatement. Understatement is the opposite of hyperbole. It refers to the deliberate downplaying of something in order to create an ironic effect. For example, saying it's just a flash of wound. It is the way of expressing pain. Allusion. Allusion refers to a reference to something outside of the text, such as a historical event or a work of literature, or such as a cultural icon. Symbol. A symbol is an object, action, or image that represents a larger idea or concept. Lastly, we have puns and wordplay. Puns and wordplay are a type of verbal humor that relies on the multiple meanings of the words. For example, saying time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana is a pun on the different meanings of the word flies. Puns and wordplay can be used to create humor or to add a playful element to the writing. Next, I am going to discuss the various devices of sound. This includes the alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the same sound or letter at the beginning of the multiple words in a phrase or sentences. For example, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. Next is the consonants. Consonants is the repetition of consonant sounds within words in a phrase or sentence. For example, Mike likes his bike is an example of a consonant as the K sound is repeated in the several words. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is the use of words that imitate the sound they describe. For example, the buzz, hiss, tweet. Lastly is the meter. Meter refers to the rhythm of a poem or other piece of writing, created through the use of stressed and unstressed syllables. Meter can be used to create a specific tone or mood in the writing, as well as to create a sense of movement or momentum. Generally, these elements are important in children and adolescent literature because they help engage younger readers, aid comprehension and emotional connection, and have educational value by teaching important life lessons. By using these different literary elements, authors can create engaging, accessible, and emotionally impactful stories for children and adolescents, including the verbal, visual, types of characters, characteristics of setting, three elements of plots, types of point of view, devices of style, and the devices of sounds. That's all. Thank you.